Have you ever thought about learning German? If you have, you've probably asked yourself, where do I even begin? Well, today we're going to demystify that entire journey, from the official global standards all the way down to the very first words you'll actually say. Let's map this thing out. It's an awesome goal, right? And if it's something you're considering, you are definitely not alone, not by a long shot. But the path isn't always super clear, and all the options can feel a little overwhelming. So let's break it down step by step. And when I say you're not alone, I am not kidding. Just last year, over 1.1 million German proficiency exams were taken all around the world. That's a huge global community of learners, all on the same path you're thinking about. So when you boil it down, learners usually face two main roads. On one side, you've got the deep academic dive of a university degree, and on the other, there's the super flexible, globally recognized certification path. Let's start by figuring out how we even measure progress on either one. Okay, first things first, let's talk about the destination. Before you start any trip, you gotta know where you're going, right? In language learning, that means really understanding the global standard for what fluent actually means. And that global standard, it's called the CEFR. Think of it as the ultimate yardstick. It takes this big, fuzzy idea of fluency and makes it totally concrete. What's so great about this framework is that it turns the huge, intimidating mountain of learning German into a series of smaller, climbable hills. Each level, from A1 to C2, gives you a clear goal and that amazing feeling of accomplishment as you move up. And the main institution setting this global standard is the Goethe Institute. I mean, as Germany's official cultural institute, their certificates are basically the gold standard. They're recognized everywhere for visas, jobs, university admissions, you name it. They're the ones behind that million-plus exams we just talked about.
So how does this all work in the real world? Now that we know the destination, those CEFR levels, let's look at one specific map to get there. A full university degree. This is the deep, structured, academic route.
For our case study, we're going to look at the Bachelor of Arts in German from Ferguson College. By really digging into how they structure a 3-year program, we can get a great picture of the kind of depth you can expect from this path. You know what's kind of wild? A degree program doesn't kick off with grammar. It starts with the why. The first goals are all about developing skills like critical thinking and social competence. It's about building a learning mindset, not just memorizing a vocabulary list. And this is where those big picture goals become real, tangible skills. The why turns into the what, getting to that near native C2 level, being able to analyze literature, translate texts, and gain that all-important intercultural competence. And man, this academic path gets deep, and it gets deep fast. This is a first-year course. For a total beginner, the idea of reading literature in another language, well, it can sound pretty darn intimidating. Like it's a million miles away from just learning to say hello. Okay, that sounds intense, right? But here's the secret. Nobody, and I mean nobody, starts with literary analysis. So let's hit rewind and see where every single learner actually begins. Day 1, hour 1. And there it is. Hello, my name is Laura. That's it. We just jumped from complex literary theory to the very first sentence you learn. This is the real starting line. Every single German speaker on the planet started with a phrase just like this one. And from that one little sentence, you just start building. The beginner A1 level, doesn't matter which path you take, is all about the real world. You're talking about yourself, your family, what you like to eat, your hobbies, where you live. It's all stuff that's immediately practical and totally relevant to your life. Okay, every hero's journey has its dragon to slay, and for a lot of German learners, that dragon is grammar. But I promise it's not as scary as it sounds. Let's tackle one of the very first challenges you're gonna face, the verbs. Yep, let's meet the famous, or maybe infamous, strong verbs, also known as irregular verbs. These are just the verbs that don't play by the normal rules when you change their tense. They are an absolute rite of passage for every German learner, and mastering them is all about practice and spotting the patterns. But here's the key. You don't memorize thousands of these all at once. You learn them by picking up on patterns. So sehen, to see, becomes sah. Sprechen, to speak, becomes sprach. See that vowel change? Gehen, to go, becomes ging. And essen, to eat, becomes aß. You start to spot these little internal changes, and pretty soon recognizing them just becomes second nature. So we've seen the formal paths, we've seen the first grammar hurdles, but how do people actually piece all this together in the real world? Let's get some advice from learners who are out there doing it right now. For some people, structure is everything. As one learner on Reddit said, a formal class can be a huge help with discipline, right? Having that structure built in, with clear goals and a set schedule, can give you the push that sometimes you just can't get studying on your own. But hey, maybe a big classroom isn't your style. For a more personalized approach, a lot of learners swear by private tutors. They can be a total game changer. And with platforms like italki, you can actually try out a few different instructors to find someone who really clicks with your learning style and your goals. And here's the best part, you don't have to break the bank to get started. So many learners recommend kicking things off with high-quality, free resources. Nico's Weg from Deutsche Welle is a fantastic example. It's a full-on course that can build a super strong foundation without costing you a single cent. So you see, it's not really about finding the one best way to learn. It's about building your own personal toolkit. You've got formal certifications for that global benchmark, a university degree for a really deep dive, online tutors for total flexibility, and amazing free resources for self-study. You can mix and match to create the perfect path just for you. Look, the journey from hello to analyzing German literature might seem long, but it's really just made up of small, totally manageable steps. We've laid out the map, we've shown you the tools, so the only question left is, which path are you going to start with?